welcome to the MPC University. Today we're going to talk about the mixer for the MPC Renaissance. There are two levels of mixers, one for the program mix and one for the track mix. So let's start with the program mix. The program mix allows us to adjust the attributes of the individual pads. If we start off with the routing, here we can send to the track mix, or we can send to one of 8 stereo submixers. We can also send a pad directly out of 1 and 2, or out of 3 and 4. We also have additional outputs so that you can have 16 stereo outs depending on if you're using your MPC Renaissance as a VST or an audio unit inside of your DAW. Moving along, we can adjust the levels, and as you see now the Q links map to each pad. We can adjust the pan of each pad. We can mute each pad or unmute. We can affect the send of each pad with up to 4 sends and 4 returns. We can also select and adjust inserts. If we hit Shift and Program Mix, now we can access the track mixer. And all of the attributes and parameters that we can edit on the hardware are now available on the software. Where again, we can adjust levels, pans, inserts, and sends for every track. We can mute, solo, insert effects, and set up sends. As we mentioned before, the MPC Renaissance has an output 1 and 2 as a main and an output 3 and 4 as an auxiliary. We also now have the ability to make subgroups. We have subgroup 1 through 8, which are stereo subgroups which allow us to set up mixes or send specific things to one group. For example, you can send all of your drums to submix 1, percussion to submix 2, and maybe some strings and synth to submix 3 and 4. What this will allow us to do is to create stems and to bounce individual tracks the way that we would like as groups through the submixers. The MPC Renaissance comes set up with 4 sends and 4 returns. We can set up sends per track or per pad. If I set a send on a track, it'll affect the whole program, depending on which effect that I have set up on my 4 returns. If I play my song and I affect my strings, we get the auto wah-wah on just the string program. I can adjust the level of how much I send and how much is the return. Now, if I wanted to set up a send on just an individual pad, I can go back to my program mix, hit send, and send from just one pad, allowing me to affect just one sound in the program versus on track mix, where I affect the whole program. The MPC Renaissance comes with 4 slots for insert effects per pad, per track, and 4 for the master effect. We would use our insert effects for frequency and dynamic-based effects, such as compressors, EQs, versus using our send and return system for time-based effects, such as reverbs and delays, which also gives us the advantage of sending multiple sounds to the same effect. I can select an effect by accessing this drop-down menu, or I can select effects on the hardware. I can select from my master effects, my tracks, my pads, and from each of these I can select inserts or sends. Once I pull up an effect, I can easily hit the edit button, and every parameter for that effect will appear on my screen. All of the parameters will automatically auto-link to all the Q-link knobs, allowing me to easily adjust every parameter. These effects can also be automated. Now, when an insert effect is placed directly on a pad, first we must turn it on, select the insert, and automatically our pad is routed to the submix. One of the things that I've come to love about the MPC Renaissance mixer is the automation. Inside of the Renaissance, your program mixer, your track mixer, your VST and audio units, and all of your Q-links are automatable. And this is extremely easy. If I'm playing a song, I can simply press overdub, make some fader movements, and they are automatically written as automation. If I come out of overdub and I select that pad, I can then see my level. If I select my tool, I can then draw in automation. This automation is based off the time correct, which I can adjust here, or I can completely take it off. I can select my tool again, I can highlight, I can move this around, I can select specific points and freely move them according to the grid, or I can hold the shift button and free myself from the grid. I can select again, press delete, and erase whatever I want to. Select the next pad and repeat this process. The same can be done for the track mixer. Again, it's very simple. I'll hit overdub, make some fader movements, come back out of overdub, and now those movements again are reflected on my track. I will go to the edit mode, select volume, and now I can easily see my fader movements where again, I can draw and erase. Now this can be repeated for volume, pan, mutes, and all the sends. Our top selection of region edit will be covered in another video along with sequence editing. Now that we've completed our song, it's time to export. The MPC Renaissance makes this extremely simple with the export function. We can export as a 1000 or a 2500 sequence, or as a 1000 or 2500 program. We can also export as a 5000 sequence or a 5000 program. We can use the MIDI export to export the whole MIDI file, or we can use as mixed down to bounce our tracks. In the audio length, we can set the start and the end points. We also have a tail section, which allows us to extend, especially for sounds that have reverbs, delays, or go beyond the bar. We have a render option, which allows us to do the master, which will give us a 2-track master of our song, or as each individual separate track. We can bounce in waves, AIF, or MP3s. We can select the bit depth and the sample rate. Once we have all of our options clicked, we can simply hit the export button. We select where we want our file to go, and we click save. Now keep in mind, if you're using one of the vintage modes, that sound will be applied to your track and all of your separate tracks. This concludes our mixer section.